Retail workers of Reddit, what's your Black Friday horror story? Not so much a horror story but something I just couldn't believe. Black Friday at Asda British Walmart, there was these microwaves like 70% off, and the store and was so busy you couldn't move. There was empty shelves all along the aisle up to these microwaves, and a guy laid down on the shelf and army crawled along the shelves, grabbed a microwave and army crawled back with it. Edit, spelling. If the guy didn't break the shelves doing that, then he was a genius. We had a lady call the police on our store because we sold out of a TV. I really wish I was lying. They came too. It was technically the day after Black Friday, but it was still busy as all hell. I worked as a customer service supervisor at a Camp USA before they closed down Think Best Buy, and all of my checkers called in sick that morning. All of them. So I'm the only ducking one ringing people up for the first like 6 hours of the day. When I finally got a 15-minute break, I went into the back area and blew up at the first manager I could find. I was so pissed and stressed. He just sat there and let me vent to him. After a little while I went back to him and apologized to him, and he was cool with it all. That day sucked. Worked at a store that had a service department. They couldn't ring up anything at the service counter, but they had a computer which made it look like a register. Guy is standing there patiently waiting to be rung up. Finally somebody notices him and asks what he needs. "I'd like to pay," he says. "I'm sorry, this isn't a register," replies the service tech. The guy then proceeds to try and convince the service tech to let him pay because the line for the main registers is 3 hours long. Of course the service tech couldn't because he didn't have a register. He just had a computer for making appointments and such. So after 15 minutes of argument, the guy moves off to find the line. Here's the fun part. While he was arguing, somebody else saw him standing by something that looked like a register and so got in line behind him. Then people saw the shorter line and got in behind them. With nobody to control at the line to nowhere grew quickly. 15 minutes was all it took for the knot line to snake all the way around the department. So when the doofus who started this whole fiasco went to find the right line, he found the end of the line he had started. Then the guy behind him heard that there wasn't a register, so he followed the first guy. Then the next customer followed the second, and so on. They walked around in a circle for an hour before somebody noticed them. We almost had a riot when a manager had to tell 100 people that they weren't in line and had just waited an hour for nothing. That same year we had several scuffles at points where the register line had forked into 2 lines. From then on we marked off a huge register path and had several employees just manage the line. Worked at Walmart years ago. One of my mangers thought she was being sneaky and swapped my Black Friday off shift with an on at 9 AM. My shifts normally didn't start until 1 and ended at 9, so this was utter bullshit. I was in the bakery department and had to work all of Thanksgiving the day before, and they ended up needing more help. I came in at 6 AM that day and worked a 14-hour shift because most of my team had been given the holiday off. My manager's excuse being, "You're young. They have families they need to be with and kids to celebrate with." So I was pretty angry. I found out that the Black Friday sale was a 65-feet LCD TV in electronics and PS3s, so needless to say it was going to be a bloodbath. I stayed in my department because there was literally no one else there and caught up on much needed sanitation. When the manager found out before the sale started, she came my way to rain down fire, brimstone, and bullshit on me. Thankfully, I could use their own bullshit policies against them. There needs to be at least one member of the bakery crew on hand to write on cakes, and since I was the only one there, they were shit out of luck. I got out of Black Friday bullshit, got an easy day of work, and the perfect spot to watch the chaos all while screwing over a manager I hated. It was a beautiful day. This happened just today actually. I work at Starbucks. Went to do my routine lobby and bathroom check, just to clean up during the craziness. Went into the men's restroom and there was shit smeared all over the walls, toilet seat and mirror. Really had no other choice but to clean it up with my co-worker. Definitely the most disgusting shit literally I've ever had to do in my life. Update: wow, this blew up. So I talked to my manager and showed her this exact post, reading a bunch of the replies. She wasn't mad, but in a sense of, or that we were willing to clean up shit. Even she said she would never ever do that. We went over the policy and reviewed our resources in case this happens. There gets a point where your mind is literally go from the craziness of customers and orders. The poop didn't seem to faze me at all. I'm still baffled at who wipes poop on the walls at a Starbucks. I don't think we pissed off anyone that bad. The good news is that my boss said she's so thankful to have me and all that good stuff. But yes, we do have a number to contact in case someone decides to smear their fesses everywhere. In the meantime, we are supposed to just lock the door and put a sign on the front. Thank you everyone for helping me out. I did not expect the load of replies. I now know not to clean up the poop. I feel stupid for doing it, but I'm glad I now know. I worked at Toys R Us some years ago. No standout bad customers, but it surprised me how many parents brought their young children out at 3 AM and then got mad and would yell at their children for whining/crying because you can't get any toys. Christmas is next month. Ask Santa. Your kid is exhausted and you drag them to a toy store. Of course they are gonna be pissed off. Working there really changed my perspective from being annoyed at shitty kids in public to being annoyed at shitty parents. I saw a woman on Facebook tonight complaining about a local Walmart employee checking her bags and asking out loud if she had item X on her receipt while looking at it and telling Walmart corporate that they ruined Christmas because her daughter was standing right there and had no idea she was getting item X. This took place after midnight. The kid shopped with the parent and stood in line with this cart full of shit, presumably. I just don't ducking get it, man. I work at the largest lingerie retailer in the country. We had a security guard last night for the beginning of Black Friday. A Southern Belle mother decided she didn't want to wait in a 50-person deep line, and she would cut. Our security guard asked her multiple times to step to the back of the line or leave. She proceeded to ream him with every curse word in the book and ended by threatening him with a gun she had in her bag. This will be my last holiday in retail. He customer who took a shit in one of my fitting rooms and then wiped HSS with a $125 Polo Ralph Lauren hurt. Nothing more needs to be said. I worked for a golf superstore as a cashier. Black Friday customers come rushing in and the line starts. I proceed to scan the first item and nothing. The registers are completely down and the lines are growing fast. The only thing we could do is take every transaction manually, write down screws, calculate tax, and use the old credit card swipers for 3 hours. I never worked retail during Black Friday again. This year was surprisingly tame. People were all in really good moods, which in turn makes me happy. Last year a woman yelled at me for taking too much time to finish her transaction, that her kids were in the car and she didn't want CPS to take them. Okay then. Just one moment please. Takes out cell phone and calls CPS. Your total is... I can dream, can't I? I saw someone get the crap beaten out of them for the toy of the year, a Hatchimal. My dad was a police officer when the toy of the year was the Tickle Me Elmo. He responded to a call at Walmart or Target, can't remember which one exactly, of two women beating each other up over one. When he went to break up the fight, one of the women bit his arm. She bit him so hard that she actually spit some of his skin and blood out onto the floor. He had to get his blood tested every 6 months for 2 years after the incident to make sure he didn't get any diseases from her. People are ducking crazy. I worked at a grocery store in high school. Black Friday was my favorite day all year. Hardly anyone goes food shopping the day after Thanksgiving. Which is exactly why I did today. Mwahaha. Me too. I live alone, so I just have Thanksgiving a day later. Bought a turkey for 70% off. It was great. I'm eating it and stuffing right now. Haha. At Staples, I watched two grown men get into a brawling fist fight over a $30 label maker. It wasn't even the last one. When I was 15 I got my first actual job. It was at a clothing store and my first day was Black Friday. I thought it wouldn't be a big deal because I was hired for men's formal wear. When I show up at 4 AM, the manager tells me I'm working women's shoes today only. Absolute madness. The worst part is shoe salesmen get commission, but since I didn't have employee numbers I got only minimum wage, losing out of hundreds of dollars extra pay. That's probably why they put the new person on that job. When I worked at Best Buy I watched two elderly ladies get in a fist fight over a Nintendo DS. That and the cleaning the aftermath of Black Friday. Looked like a grocery store before a hurricane. Man, I used to love working Best Buy Black Friday. I'd work 14-hour shifts, usually getting overtime, on the whole time, so time would fly. I actually hated 12 to 4, because it was completely dead and those hours dragged on. I worked at Best Buy in my early 20s. Was really the perfect time to work there. Had no outside responsibilities besides school. First year I worked Black Friday, I voluntarily worked 20 hours. My family had moved away, so I was alone Thanksgiving, and no problem coming in at 10 PM Thanksgiving Day. I got off at 6 PM Black Friday. That paycheck covered my rent and then some. Was totally worth it.